Welcome to my channel everyone, I'm B. This is gonna be the last video of the year and the last video of Let's Make a Stealth Game. For today I have procedural animation. As you can see I have my little robot, and if I press the letter Q, the key Q, the little robot will move the arms, and if I press the double V, the little robot will move down the arms. So I make these carrying objects. I'm using this simple actor to test this present, but you can use this with anything. For the movement of the arms, I'm using code, so it's procedural for both when the arms go up and when the arms go down. And for the present, I'm just spawning the present on the hands, basically. For this tutorial, we have to modify a few things. We have to modify the animator controller of the robot. We have to add the code to make the movement up and down on the character, and we need simple tests. For testing this, I'm using the input controller and I'm just using a few functions. So let's do that first, and then we will move on to the animation controller. So I added in the input, project settings input, I added take object and release object, and I simply add the Q and the double V. Also the gamepad, because I like to use the gamepad. On the code, I also added those two functions. Remember, they have to be EU function, blueprint callable, and I always put this category. This is useful when you navigate on the blueprints. It's easy to find these things for sections. So I have pick item and release item. And if I go to the setup input component on the main player controller, this is where you hook up that input on the project settings with the functions. I have bin action, one and the other one. I use take object, the same name as the input controller, and release object. And I'm using this pick item and release item pointing at this element. If we go to the pick item and release item, you will see that I'm calling my character with the same functions, which I've declared on my character, which is a reference to the main character, the character itself, not the controller. And I have exactly the same functions, pick item and release item, which doesn't have anything. They are declared right here at the bottom. There they are public to access them, and I'll show you later how they are defined, but they don't expect any parameters. And this reference I have here, I have it on declared here, main character, which is this class, and I'm using the begin play to get that reference. Since I get the pawn that this controller is controlling, and if it's not known, I just do a cast, and I should have this character. With this, I have my test ready for later. So now we're going to see how the animation blueprint works. So now I'm gonna open the main player, the main character, and I need the blueprint. So because this is already prepared there, it's easy for me to go this way. So the animator blueprint is this. So I'm just gonna open that. Here we have all the animations plus the blueprint, which is attached to the controller, the robot. And if I open this, I'm using this is the last entry point of the animator controller. This is the last animation that is expecting. As you can see, I have a blend pose from previous tutorials with an idle and a few more. And here I have the left arm eye key, control and the right arm I key. This is what I use to control both arms. I have these properties, which comes from the blueprint, the C++ class that I created for this character, for this animator blueprint, which is a robot anim instance. So I'm gonna open that and show you. As you can see, I created this in my first tutorial, I think. And it's a class that it extends from an animator instance, so I can control this externally from other classes, and it's comfortable for me. I have several things from other projects. I have the lookat and I have some other setters and getters. So for the animation up and down of the arms, I'm using these properties, which were on the blueprint. I have the left hand target locator, which is the element that is going to, is the object on the space where the arms are gonna go. I have one for the left hand and another one for the right hand. And then I have this alpha value, this float, which is simply to activate and disactivate and make that transition from down to up. Progressive. Not like, I can use this for enable and disable AI key, or I can also use it in the tick, on tick. Then I have setters for each element to modify this on the main character, because I'm gonna do the transition on the main character class. Now let's go back. As you can see, all of those elements are right here. Left hand A key, right hand A key. If you cannot see this, you have to go here and then click on show interfaces in the function override. No, actually it's show inherited variables. With these variables, we can prepare the iKey controller. So Unreal provides a few useful nodes. One of them is toBone iKey. So if you type toBone iKey, this is the node, and you have the effector location, which is this locator that I'm using, which is the place in the wall where the iKey is going to go, the bone that your controller is going to go. And then you have that alpha, which I'm using this one, and the join target locator, which I'm not using. I'm not entirely sure what's the purpose of this. It's probably to control the joints. But basically you have lots of things right here to play around, and the best thing to do with these things is just play around, try the different options. So I'm going to show you how I solve my version. Before that, let me show you in the anim controller. The first thing you see is the movement. This is a blend space 2D movement to make the robot move. Then I have the lookat version, and as you can see, this is converting from local, from the to component. If you connect this here, it will do that automatically. And the exit is the same. It transforms from component to local to add that to the final. So this animator controller is taking everything from the animation and combine everything together. And with these toBone iKey, if this is 1, it will override the arm. So no matter what the animation I have on the arms, it will do whatever I tell this thing to do. So let's check this first. toBone iKey for the left arm. I have the iKey bone is the left hand. So you can see all of the bones which are on the skeleton, and I selected the left hand. Then I have those two enabled. This is important, is component in space. There are other options. With this, I know it works, and it will take the local space, the component space, not the local space. The wall space will take a different transformation, so I know this one works for me. Again, the join target, I'm using the bone space again, the left arm. Okay, so this, I set this externally on the main character, and what I have is I was trying, basically I have a position in front of the character, and the way you can test this is doing, well, you have to disconnect this element, and then you can, oh, it doesn't work now, but let me compile this. Okay, now it works. So you can see, so this is what I did. I had disconnected those, and so okay, this value works. So basically took the values and plugged them on code. Now I'm gonna move this there. And this left hand I key is set to 0 because I'm using this externally to do the progression, the animation. For the right arm, I'm doing exactly the same. So I'm selecting right hand, bonus space, component space, right arm, and the target location will be this. And I'm using again the right hand I key alpha because I want to have independent, but in this example I basically use only one, so I can just plug this in. But yeah, so it's flexible, so I can use this all the time. I can just have one animation with the right hand to do some kind of interaction. Up to you. Next thing we need for this example, and actually you can use this for carrying other type of objects, we need to add a socket on the skeleton. So I'm gonna go to the robot character, and I'm going to go to the skeleton. Wow, this element. Now I'm gonna go to the skeleton, so you can see all the bones that are prepared here. So I'm gonna create this left hand socket, and the way you do it is simply go select the bone, right click, and add socket. That's it, and it will keep the name of the left hand socket. As you can see, selecting left hand as a bone name and left hand socket as a default name. So we will use the left hand, so it doesn't let me because I already have one. But this is important. This name is important because we're gonna use this exact name on the code. And I'm using this socket to attach the present, the actor present that I'm carrying on this socket. This is useful because you can add sockets everywhere. For example, you want to put a hat on the robot, you can just go to the head or head top, for example, and add a socket and use that to attach something on the head. Fun. As you can see, here I have the socket, and you can do some modifications. I did this little modification so the socket is not exactly inside, and any element that I carry, it will be attached there. The next thing we need is a point on a space where to spawn the present. So I'm using the socket just to attach the socket always in the same place, and then I have this point on the scene to spawn the element. I actually don't think I need that, but I'm gonna show you anyways, and you can decide. I think I can use just socket, but I did this with both, so yeah, I prefer to keep it. I don't think it's needed. So in the BP robot character, I have this carry pickup component, which is in front. So whenever I have an object that I'm gonna carry, I'm gonna use this carry pickup component, which is a component that I declared on the code. So let's move on there and check how it looks. So it's a using component with that name, visible anywhere, blueprint return, and yeah, and these properties. Don't worry much about those. If I go to the constructor, I just have the create default subobject using with that name, so that's the name it will show up, and set set up attachment to the rod component, which is the main rod is a capsule. And finally, we need some kind of actor to test this. So I just created a simple actor, nothing else. If I show you that quickly, this is the pickup test, so it doesn't have anything, it's just a normal actor with that static mesh, which I added later. So what I did is basically blueprint class, actor, and then I said pickup, there's 2. Okay, then I open this is a simple actor. We can add a static mesh and add whatever we want. Okay, I'm gonna use this. Then we can modify the size or do whatever we want, because I think this is huge actually. Yeah, so no, actually it's the same size. Well, we can use that. And to make things simple, I have this attached to the blueprint character here. And if I go to pickup item, I have pickup item test, which is that one. So this is a quick way to test this, but the right thing to do in this is probably having some sort of data table or some kind of table to select what item you want to carry, or attach this to an interactive. This is a quick way to test, because the purpose of this is to show you how to control IK, not to show you how to carry items. Finally, let's go to main character and I'll show you how to do the animation, finally. So right at the bottom, I have that pickup test class. That's it. You just seen on the editor, on the blueprint. The both pickup item and release item called from the main player controller when we use those keys. Okay. And now for the this animation, I have handle pickup item animation, which is called on the tick with the delta seconds. This function will control the transition up and down. Then I have some useful booleans to indicate if I'm carried an item, and if I'm doing the transition in, which is arms down to up, and the opposite. Then I have this common animation alpha value, which is the one I'm gonna use with the animator, with the left hand IK alpha, or I'm gonna use both. This is just a reference to destroy when I finish, which will be a reference of this when I spawn this. And finally, the left item target and the right item target, which are the values that I'm gonna set at the beginning. Let's go to pickup item. So as soon as you press the Q, if I don't carry any item, I'm gonna start everything to do everything. I'm gonna set this to true, so I will start the in transition, not the off. The animation alpha value will start at 0, and I'm setting the values as I showed you before, which is testing what the values work for me. So I know these ones work for me for the left hand and the right hand. So the arms will be a little bit open and I can carry that item. This only probably going to work for the present, but it's okay. And I'm using, as you can see, I'm using both hands, but we can have something, a parameter here that says, okay, 1 item, 2 items, and only control one of the hands, not both. Then I'm just initializing the left hand locator, the right hand locator, and the alpha, which will start in 0 and nothing will change. For the release item, as soon as the player presses double V, if I'm carrying an item, not before, because as soon as you press this will be false and it'll start the animation. If I'm carrying an item, then we can destroy the item and start the out transition, which is from arms extended to normal position. Okay, now we're in this state that we want to do the in transition. So hand pick animation, this will be called on the tick. So if I go to the tick there, I'm just calling the function, so internally it will handle this itself, so I don't have to do any kind of if blah 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 blah. Okay. Before I move on, for access the animator controller, I have a reference to the animator or declare on the H file. Can go here, and as you can see, this is a reference to the uRobot anim instance, which is the animator controller. And I'm basically getting the mesh and casting the mesh to get its anim instance. So I have the reference and I can call those functions. Let's go back to the handle pick item animation. And this is very, very simple. So basically, when we have these two true, the in transition, we start doing smoothly the animation alpha value will change. So it will start in 0 and it will go up until 1. And I'm sending that to the set left hand I key alpha. And because the locators are in the right place, all I have to do is that transition. I don't have to move the location of the final location for the arms. It will do that automatically and smoothly. When this value is 1, we stop. And well, this is not necessary, but yeah, it will stop there. We set this to false, and next is find the socket location that we created before with that name and the rotation. Then is when we spawn the pickup test. As you can see, I'm using basically a spawn actor, is an actor with that pickup text, and I'm using the location and rotation of that socket. If everything was correct, we attach that to carry pickup point component using the wall transform. So I said earlier that I'm using the socket to attach it. Sorry about that, I didn't know I was doing this way, but the correct way will be to attach to the socket, not this attach pickup point. So you can just change this for the socket. Yeah. But anyways, I'm using this set actor location and rotation, and I'm setting the values there so it will be straight. I'm not so sure why I did this way, but well, you can use the socket or you can use this carry pickup point component. And again, I'm setting these values to 1 again, just to stop everything, and for some reason I'm doing this again, not necessary. But the important bit here is I spawn this, I attach this to carry pickup point component of the socket, which will be more correct. And then I'm setting this, okay, I'm carrying item, perfect. And the transition, I'm setting this to false just in case. So now I will move the rod. So if I go to the game and I press play, you will see that what I'm doing is, okay, I press Q, then I'm carrying an item, it will do that transition, can move, the present is there, so the arms are always straight because the I key, the value alpha I key is 1 all the time. And now when I press double B, it will do the opposite. And that's what I have on the other side of the code. So when the user presses release item, when I'm carrying the item, which is the arms are straight, it will start this out transition, and we do the opposite. We remove the alpha value, which is now is 1, so it will go up to 0, and we set those values to the left hand and the right hand, and finish everything. We set everything to false. We're not carrying item anymore, and we're not doing the transition. So we can start over, and we can press this over and over again. What I did here as well is, as soon as you press release, if there is any kind of pickup, I will destroy the pickup. We could do that also here, as soon as we did that. But yeah, it works. Visually it's not the nicest, but it works. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe, like, share, it helps. And well, this is the last video of the year, very exciting, and I'm probably gonna close this series of videos and move on to something new. I haven't thought about what I want to do next, so if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments and I'll think about it. Have a good day and see you next time on the next video. Bye!